Greetings, friends! Did you know that no rock sample or other ancient artifact has ever been verified to be more than a few thousands of years old? Now, if that is true, why are we constantly hearing from textbooks, professors, mainstream media outlets, and liberal scientists that the Earth is billions of years old? Well, glad you asked. To begin with, let's realize that atheistic Darwinists do not conclude from facts that the Earth is old. Their worldview requires an old Earth. Why? It's because it has never been seen or recorded that one form of living creature has ever evolved into a more complex or higher form over time. This is a foundational concept of Darwinism, but it has never been actually observed, and in fact, there's not one iota of scientific evidence to support it. Darwinists claim that this is happening too slowly to be observed. That way, they can continue to promote this idea as fact with no need to support it with real science. Now, secular science used two main arguments to try to convince us that the Earth is old enough for macroevolution to have occurred. The first one is called naturalistic uniformitarianism. Try saying that 3 times fast. This is the idea that soft layers of the Earth's crust have slowly accumulated on top of the hard bedrock below at a constant rate since the beginning of time. So, just measure the current rate of accumulation, divide by the depth of the soft layers, and voila! Billions of years. Note that this theory also has no scientific proof to support it, and note also that this idea forcibly excludes the possibility of a global flood, which of course would have added huge layers of soft deposits to the Earth very rapidly. But today, let's take a hard look at the second way that the idea of an old Earth is justified. It's called radiometric dating. No, this is not a website where single atoms can get to know each other online. Radiometric dating is based on the concept that atomic elements break down into other atomic elements over time. This is called radioactive decay. The idea, though, is that we first measure how much of the initial atomic structure, or parent element, is remaining in a rock sample today. And we measure how much of the rock is broken down over time into the daughter element. Finally, since we can measure in the lab the rate at which the atom decays, we can do the math to see how old the rock is. And guess what? Billions of years again. But before we take this any farther, let's see how you do with a little quiz. Now imagine that an hourglass has removable plugs in the top and bottom halves so that you can change the amount of sand. It also has a little valve to regulate the flow of sand from top to bottom. Okay, now the valve has been set to run all the sand through in exactly 30 minutes. And the top half has been filled with exactly 30 minutes worth of sand. Okay, so you walk into the room and you see that exactly half of the sand is in the bottom of the hourglass. So here's the question. How long has the hourglass been running? Answer A, 5 minutes. Answer B, 15 minutes. Answer C, 30 minutes. Or answer D, I don't know, I need more information. Most people will select answer B, 15 minutes, but that is actually incorrect. The math might seem simple enough, but the correct answer is actually D, I need more information. In selecting B, you have made 3 assumptions that you really know nothing about. Assumption 1 was that all the sand was in the top half when the hourglass was started. Assumption 2 is that nobody changed the setting of the valve since the hourglass was started. And assumption number 3 was that nobody opened the plugs and added or removed sand from the top or the bottom since the hourglass was started. Friends, without accurate information about these assumptions, you really can't tell much about how long the hourglass has been running based on what you observe right now. This quiz is a perfect analogy of why we cannot accurately date rocks using radiometric dating methods. The top of the hourglass represents the parent element, and it is slowly turning into the daughter element at a certain rate, as represented by the little valve. The removable plugs in the top and bottom represent the fact that there's no way to prevent the addition or removal of parent or daughter element during the presumably very long life of the sample. Likewise, in order to determine a date for a rock sample, 3 assumptions must be made. Assumption 1, that the initial amounts of parent and daughter element were known. Number 2, that over the history of the sample, the rate of decay from parent to daughter element has not changed from the rate that we observe today. And number 3, that there has been no contamination of the sample over time. That is, no addition or removal of parent or daughter element from outside sources. Realize now that assumptions 1 and 3 are completely arbitrary, and in fact, it is fairly obvious that there can be no scientific basis whatsoever for determining the actual values, since no one was there millions or billions of years ago to measure them. Assumption number 2 is also very questionable, and there is very strong evidence available today showing that rates of radiometric decay have changed significantly through history. Did you know that in all cases, secular scientists choose values for these assumptions that make for the slowest clock? Usually because they're evolutionists, and again, their worldview requires very long ages of the Earth. Friends, this is not real science. It is nothing more than manipulation of the data to support a predetermined worldview, Darwinist evolution. So, who cares anyway? Well, you should, because you are being systematically programmed to believe in long ages of the Earth. Almost not a day goes by without us hearing about the long process of evolution, which magically created extreme order from total disorder by chance alone, and the millions and billions of years of history of the Earth and the universe. The Bible teaches that only about 6,000 years have passed since the Earth was new. So, realize that modern secular science is flying directly in the face of God's Word, and most often quite intentionally so, in order to invalidate the biblical worldview in favor of something newer and more politically correct. Well then, is there any evidence that the Earth and universe are actually very young? Yes, absolutely, lots of it. You can learn about this evidence in the many posts here at Facebook/7ScienceQuestions. And in my next several videos, I will be sharing some startling facts with you that will strongly support the biblical chronology or time frame of a young Earth, which is about 6,000 years old. Until then, know that confidence in God's revealed Word, the Bible, is the most intelligent position we can take, since it is historically accurate and scientifically credible in every verse. Thanks for watching. Share this video with a friend, and I'll look forward to seeing you here next time on 7 Science Questions and Why They Matter.